Hello and happy new year to all you lovely, beautiful people. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to Americans Learn. My name is Kit, and today, we return back to the Great War, the Cimbrian War, from 113 to 101 BC. All parts, part 3, the final battles at hand for the future of Romania. Rome. Not Romania, but Rome. The Roman Republic. It's still a republic, it's still pretty cool, but some nasty barbarians from Gaul and Germania. I'll curse that name till the day I die. I read the comments. One of you said in the comment section, "Hey, if I ever see Kit, I'll growl Germania." My response back will be, I will curse that name till the day I die. Because all true Romans should hate Germania. It's Germania's fault. And I better not hear, but we're Holy Roman Empire. Not on my watch. So everyone grab yourself a tasty snack and a tasty beverage. And let's enjoy this video in a 3, 2, and 1. And Kit, you got to open your heart. No, I don't have to open my heart to Germania. I don't have to open my heart to Germania. I don't have to do anything I don't want to. Okay? I will be intolerant to Germania. Causing all this bull. Let's go ahead and kill some barbarians.
It is autumn 102 BC, and while the army of Gaius Marius is maneuvering to its tremendous extermination of the Ambrones and Teutones in a series of battles at Aquae Sextiae, the holding legions of Quintus Lutatius Catullus are standing guard at the Alpine passes into Italy and feeling increasing apprehension and creeping dread. Although Catullus's deputy, Lucius Cornelius Sulla, has continued the sterling work he undertook for Marius in bringing nearby Celtic tribes to Roman allied status, as well as securing optimum supply.
I don't know, Sulla. I don't like you.
And victuals for Catullus's 20,000-strong force, it is becoming increasingly obvious that the legions are vastly outnumbered by the Cimbri and the barbarian host that numbers in the hundreds of thousands. With no word from Marius or to the fate of his force, Catullus makes the fateful decision to press forward with his 6 legions. He moves up the Atesis Valley to the elevated settlement of Tridentum and there attempts to engage the lethal Cimbrian horde before it reaches the peninsula of Italy. Should he fail, the road to Rome will lie open and defenseless before it. The Roman army pushes into the valley pass, searching for any sign of the oncoming hordes, but the only marker of change initially is the ever-narrowing walls of the mountains either side.
Why would you go there? Why?
The wind takes on a chill, and men wrap their cloaks closer around their shoulders when the first figures appear at the top of the ridges.
Barbarian scum!
Looking down with unseen faces onto the isolated and vulnerable legionary columns. The weak late-year sun can make no inroads in this place, and the men now walk in constant shadow, the phantom figures overlooking them growing in numbers until they are a near constant presence on the horizon. Though Catullus's attempt to make a stand in the cramped valley echoes the strategy of Leonidas and his 300 at the Battle of Thermopylae, the more pragmatic and militarily experienced officers on his staff, like Sulla, have no wish to become dead legends just yet. Sulla prevails on Catullus to draw back, providing the kind of sound advice from a fellow patrician that Marius hoped he would when he seconded him to the holding force. And Catullus eventually sees the sense of the argument. Ordering a withdrawal from the spooky and ever more hostile environment of the Tridentum and Atesis Valley, Catullus seems to have made his decision not a moment too soon.
Cowardly barbarian scum. What more can you expect from these barbarians? There's only one way to handle them.
The Cimbri surge after the Romans, using their shields to slide down snow-capped slopes and ferociously attack the rear guards of the legions. The Romans use what missiles and other projectiles they can to keep the tribesmen at bay, deploying rear guards and cavalry sorties through the broken and frozen valley until they are in the open and can form the wide deployments best suited to their style of fighting. The withdrawal is a close-run thing, and Catullus manages to get his still intact army to the Adige River. Orders are issued for the legionaries to begin constructing camps on both banks of the river, forging a barrier that will halt the tribes like salmon in a net. A bridge is constructed to link up with the bases across the water. Though the Cimbri are pursuing with vigor, the legionaries show their ability, and the improvised fortresses are thrown up in time. The swarming units of Cimbri run into a hail of Roman arrows, javelins, and missiles, and their advance is brought to a surly and bloodthirsty halt.
Good. Lousy barbarians, what they want. They better not ask for equal rights. Barbarians are going to get what's coming to them.
Catullus and Sulla survey the milling horde with satisfaction. The retreat has been humiliating, but their orders are to hold the enemy in place, and above all they have avoided another disastrous massacre like the Arausio. They order the men to dig in further and prepare to wait out the bad months with the lethal threat of the Cimbri held in check. For their part, King Boiorix and his federation have no intention of merely sitting still until the Romans assemble the overwhelming force necessary to massacre them. The king is aware that he has inflicted the greatest defeat on the Romans since Hannibal, even exceeding the Carthaginians' victims in number at the legendary Battle of Cannae. A man who has waded up to his waist in the corpses of legionaries will not be stopped by mere wooden walls and sloppy towers. First, he orders that the tribe attempt to cross the water at a different point on the river, but this is unsuccessful, and it becomes clear that Catullus is guarding the only fordable point. To remedy this, Boiorix mobilizes and invests the vast human resources at his command and sends out massive work parties in two directions. Roman scouts observe in stupefied wonder the thousands upon thousands of Cimbri who have gone downriver. They spread out like a gargantuan pack of locusts and tear every tree from the countryside and roam the hills for rocks and timber.
What the hell are they doing?
Catullus listens with incredulity as the scouts report to him that the Cimbri are building a dam, their obvious intention being to increase the water level at the Roman camps, flood the area, and swamp their defenses. Worse is to come. The scouts who have been spying on the work parties upriver on the Adige say that they too are stripping the countryside like whiteflies. But instead of making a dam, they are lashing timbers together into giant irregular objects that are neither boat nor building.
Oh no!
Catullus and his scouts cannot discern the purpose of this effort.
Get out of there! Get out of the base! Go move! We gotta roll! Hot-footed out of there!
Until the dam has begun to raise the water level, and the Cimbri upriver launch the first of the timber bowls down in their direction.
Oh, you mother...
The amalgamated timbers are missiles, utilizing the surging current of the river to propel the titanic weights into the Romans' now exposed walls and the bridge. Catullus and the rest of his command stand agog at the attack. It is an ingenious tactic. The forts are now under constant bombardment, and all the while the waters rise and the log missiles thunder into the ever more exposed timbers of the walls. It is enough for the greater part of the Roman rank and file. while the more educated High Command wonders how the tribesmen possess the skill to divert rivers and launch waterborne missiles, but cannot simply build their
Fools, get out of there!
own bridge or boats to cross the river, enlisted legionaries begin to withdraw and disappear out into the countryside. Catullus knows that his position has now been rendered untenable, and Plutarch records that he orders another general retreat and then brings his standard up to the front so that his men will not be shamed by their panicked escape.
Get out of here.
The Romans do their best to destroy the bridge over the Adige behind them, and a force of 500 men is left in one camp to act as a rear guard.
500 guys. Oh, Jesus.
Once the Cimbri make their crossing of the river, they launch an attack on this holdout, but the defense is so impressive that they allow the Roman guards to depart as a gesture of goodwill. Catullus establishes a new defense on the Po, and the plains of northern Italy are now in the hands of tribes. Boiorix and his warriors gorge themselves on the wealth of the land, eating, drinking, and lifting any valuables and people still unlucky enough to be in the area.
Yeah, Boiorix, we're gonna kill you.
With the campaign season coming to an end, they abandon the hard living of their recent travails and enjoy the splendor of Italy, even though the Romans still consider land north of the Po a part of Gaul. Marius, in the meantime, returns to Rome following the elimination of the Teutones and Ambrones at Aquae Sextiae, and declines an immediate triumph. Instead, he begins planning the next stage of the campaign in the spring. He also takes another consulship. The norms of the Roman political precedents and its mos maiorum system having now been completely abandoned. It is Marius's 5th term, his 4th consecutively, and he stands above all other men in Roman history. For the Cimbri and their king Boiorix, the lands of the north of Italy are an ongoing wonderland in which all of their desires go fulfilled every day. By the time the spring of 101 BC has almost passed and the fruits of the previous year's harvest have begun to run dry, they are ready to push further and gain ever greater rewards at the expense of the weakened Romans. The Cimbri begin to search for a crossing over the Po to plunge further into Italy.
Yeah, you can tell I'm a little furious. Smack my lips. I'm a little furious. Like, first of all, we need to handle these barbarians. We need to smack them around a little bit. We need to tell Boiorix that he's a little bit out of pocket here. I'm getting a little angry here. Gotta hit the like button.
However, they find that Marius has now joined Catullus, and that they have a strong force of more than 50,000 legionaries ready to fight. Though Boiorix does not know it yet, Marius has moved his victorious army south from Gaul, and they now form the steely core of his new force. Nevertheless, Boiorix is not intimidated by the host arrayed against him. The Roman army he liquefied at Arausio was 2.5 times as large as Marius's current force, and Catullus's repeated retreats in the previous year have done nothing to restore Roman prestige.
Yeah, buddy. You know what? You keep thinking that way, and I promise you this, we're gonna boil your skin off.
Now, after months of good living, the Cimbri are convinced of their invincibility. But Marius too is confident, and when Boiorix seems unable to find a suitable crossing point on the Po, he moves his army north into the open to face the enemy. The Cimbri send emissaries with their demands. Land enough for hundreds of thousands of their people and their allies.
Yeah, well, how about we give you nothing? How about we give you nothing?
Marius, sitting with Sulla, Catullus, and other proud senators at his side, shakes his head. There will be land in which to bury them. He wishes to do battle with the Cimbri. They and their kind will not further pollute the cities of Italy. The Cimbri reply that they will happily deal with the army of Marius as they did the army of Caepio, and then they will take what they please in the lands of the Romans. As soon as their allies arrive, they say, battle will be joined. Marius's eyebrows raise in surprise. What allies are these? He asks. Boiorix's ambassadors tell him that the Teutones and Ambrones will soon join them, as he has joined Catullus. Together, the peoples will have land from the Romans, one way or the other. Marius chuckles. The Teutones and Ambrones have already been given land, he says cheerfully.
Oh, they're in land all right. Just buried in deep, no pullout. Oh. They're buried in deep, no pullout. No pullout.
Disconcerted for the first time at this unexpected development, the Cimbri demand Marius explain himself. Now the Roman consul bursts into a deep and hearty belly laugh, waving a hand to his lictors. From a tent behind the conference space, a procession of chained men is led out, their faces cut and bruised, their bodies covered with filthy rags, and their eyes empty sockets without hope. The Cimbri see with alarm that they are the Teuton nobles and royalty. Marius's laughter subsides, and he tells the Cimbri that their allies have all the land they need. Those that are not in the slave markets are being spread as fertilizer by the farmers of Gaul. Their bones serve as fence posts.
Good.
If that is the fate the Cimbri wish for themselves, then Marius will give it to them.
Good.
The Cimbri are astounded, and they rush back to inform Boiorix. His anger at Marius's insults and threats outweigh his consternation at the fate of his allies, and he sends Marius a message that he will meet him at a time and place of his choosing. Marius cheerfully sends his reply. The armies will meet at the Raudine plain, and there the gods will decide the fate of Rome and their greatest enemy since Hannibal. With their more compact numbers and Marius's reformed logistical system, the Romans arrive at the plain before the Cimbri. Marius splits his veteran army of Gaul onto both flanks, with the left wing under his own direct command and the right wing under Sulla. Each flank numbers about 15,000 men, with a very strong cavalry component in each. Catullus, meanwhile, commands the center. His own army is not untested, but it lacks the edge that Marius has brought to those units that have served long years with him in southern Gaul. And this battle will require precision of a degree unknown in the great majority of fighting forces. Marius takes the auspices in the morning, and they are good. The bloody animal entrails held up for him to inspect, showing that the day will bring another triumph. When the Cimbri arrive onto the plain, they are a staggering sight. It is said by the Roman scouts that their army is so large that it approaches 200,000 men and covers fully 10 square miles. It is swarming in every point of the terrain, visible to the Romans on the line. Many of Marius's centurions and other officers begin to quietly question the wisdom of placing the army on so wide a vista, where the legions will indeed have room to deploy into their specialist fighting lines, but where the infinite masses of barbarians can also seemingly envelop them in a suffocating deluge. While the Cimbri form their wagon lager at the rear of their lines and continue the mammoth task of organizing their tens of thousands of fighters, More prescient Romans note that Marius has organized his own lines so that the early morning mist is partially concealing many of his units, and also that the sun and wind will be at the Roman backs once the day proceeds and the battle reaches its zenith. Marius has no intention of allowing the enemy to use the time he has snatched for his own men to form into their preferred formations. The Roman trumpets blow, and the order is given for a general advance. This has a disruptive and disquieting effect on the Cimbri. Because of the mist, they were unaware that the Romans had already deployed in full strength. But now, in the full radiating gleam of the morning sunlight, they see an array of legions, both Roman and Italian, on the advance.
Glorious. What I see before us is a barbarian horde. Kill them all!
The sun behind the Romans catches the burnished sheen on thousands of their uniform helmets, and it appears to the Cimbri that the whole sky has caught fire. Boiorix is not intimidated, and he orders that the elite cavalry of the tribal army ride forward to meet the enemy. From behind their shields and underneath their visors, the legionaries watch them come on, dust flying into the air on the now scorching plain. The Cimbri horsemen wear animal-shaped helmets and carry white shields, in contrast to the crimson of the Roman cloaks and guards. Their long swords glisten just as the Romans' gear does, while they swirl them back and forth, a haze of deadly movement. While the main Cimbri force still pulls itself to order, the noble riders of their clans pick up the pace and take to the gallop. The legionaries brace, while the centurions scream for discipline and immovable strength in the face of the enemy. The riders are just yards out now, their appearance, war cries, and the sheer noise of their heavy animals drumming in the already pounding ears of the legions. They emerge as though they are manifesting from a hidden realm. Such are the reams of dust now filling the air behind them. Just at the moment that the Cimbri see the white of the Romans' eyes, when they can feel such anticipation for the moment of contact that it is a taste in their mouths, the centurions bawl orders for the first volley.
All right, hold the line and kill them all.
All along the Roman line, the pila are launched, and thousands of razor-sharp javelins bury themselves into the fastest and bravest of the Cimbri's elite warriors. The Cimbri are not to be thrown off their quarry, however, and the second and third lines of horsemen pummel forward. These are decimated in turn by the next wave of javelins, thousands of men stricken with the deadly spears. Then the centurions cry out for the legions to draw their gladii, and they begin the business of mortal hand-to-hand combat. The dust cloud descends over the main line, with the cavalry slashing at the Roman shields and the legionary...
Pause here a moment and thank our brave Roman soldiers for holding the line against this barbarian filth.
He's attempting to stab and slash at the horses' exposed legs and flanks. The riders regroup and attempt another charge from a shorter distance, but again the shield line stands firm. The Cimbri infantry, tens of thousands strong, is now moving forward, and although the legionaries cannot see over the cavalrymen's heads, they can sense the oncoming Leviathan like a fisherman sensing a tsunami. The greater part of the Cimbri mounted attack falls on Catullus and Sulla's lines, and in a fog of battle and the now swirling dust clouds, they cannot see Marius out on the left wing. He and his force are lost to the other Romans, who believe him to be adrift and aimlessly wandering the battlefield. In reality, Marius launches a flanking attack on the Cimbri, but Catullus and Sulla only see the Cimbri suddenly veer right on the impact of Marius's assault. Units in both the Roman center and right flank believe that the Cimbri have broken entirely and begin to push forward, but their rush is premature, and they suffer losses until the Roman commanders can restore order. The Cimbri cavalry, meanwhile, continues to retreat, while Marius's forces press them hard from the flank.
Avenge Rome!
All it takes is a moment, and the withdrawal turns to a rout. Panic spreads among the Cimbri horsemen, while the Romans keep up their steady advance, their lines overcoming the short-lived flash of ill discipline.
Yes.
The horsemen rush backward, but they run straight into the oncoming lines of tribal infantry, and the confusion claps down like a slap of thunder.
God!
As the panicked cavalry stalls in the attempt to ride through or around the massive blanket wall of warriors, the formation and line of the Cimbri is fatally undermined by the disruption.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
The now solid Roman line of infantry and cavalry on the flanks presses this tottering mass from the front, and the cavalry rush backward all the harder to escape.
See, this, children, is what we call FAFO. And you know what? No mercy. Slaughter them all. Slaughter them all.
Without touching blades with the enemy, the main Cimbri army breaks under the deleterious effects of their own cavalry crashing and trampling into their line, as well as the psychological effect of the 50,000 legionaries now marching toward them. The Cimbri cease to be a fighting force and are now a frenzied rabble, flailing around for an escape route. With Marius and Sulla's cavalry hemming them in on the flanks and the legions pressing in front, the only way is back. But there they run into their own wagon lager, upon which stands their women. The same scenario as Aqua Sextiae plays out, with the women of the Cimbri attacking their own men and trying to force them to go back and fight the enemy.
Ladies. You're doing Rome a favor. Thank you.
The legions are now on the rear lines, however, and a terrible slaughter begins. Thousands upon thousands are held in place, while the legions relentlessly butcher and rend organ and limb.
Good.
Seeing at last that there is no way out, the Cimbri women begin a mass suicide, both of themselves and their own children.
Nothing lost. The barbarians from Germania.
While meanwhile, thousands are taken prisoner. Marius has triumphed once more, and in his wake lies another charnel house field and another broken people. The Battle of Vercelli is another titanic exercise in carnage. 100,000 Cimbri killed, with yet tens of thousands more taken prisoner and lashed into slavery. The legions meanwhile lose just a few hundred men, 1,000 at most according to reports. Marius returns to his city a hero, on a par with Scipio or Cincinnatus. His stock higher with the Italians also after conferring Roman citizenship on 2 of the allied legions in the wake of the fighting. His friendship with the capable and deadly Sulla remains a pact of steel, and there appears to be no prospect on the horizon for anything but a glorious and gilded future, both for the Republic and its most esteemed consul. If you like what you see, consider support.
All right, so what did we learn here today? I think we learned something beautiful here today. We heard American learns and encourage tolerance and beauty and greatness. But here's the thing. After such repeated disasters, the Roman Empire, or the Roman Republic, will now have peace, and there will be no problems, no trouble after all. But this is glorious, damn. It's great to see, Sulla working together with Marius and Sertorius. I hope nothing happens. I hope there is no civil war that happens without end. Because God forbid we here at Americans Learn talk about how Sulla decides to be out of pocket. As always, please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Shout out to History March. They're doing a lot of great stuff, a lot of great work. And as always, folks, there's some more good stuff in the works. And I got a little special video in turn for Americans Learn that we'll enjoy in a few short part series. So without further ado, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Keep your heads on a swivel. Drink water. and enjoy 2026 because true Romans, once again, we win the day all the time, every time.